Oh, well, I have to...
124.
No, I know. He's not available. But... Can I...
Sorry, we've got a meeting with the buskers and then I've got a meeting at the Innovation Precinct.
So...
Sorry.
Well, I'm not going to continue the meeting if I haven't got... Yeah, I know, but I'm not prepared to. I can't. Sorry. Because I have to leave early and we voted you as the chair in my absence. So, yeah. But I didn't know, no, but I had no notification of early leaving. So, and I didn't know you were leaving early either, Ref. So, well,
How much was it?
10. I've got one.
10:30? Okay. Well, I can adjourn the meeting and we can reconvene it later on. No, well, I mean, I'm just...
We do need to have these chapters signed off by the end of the week because otherwise we won't
I
make
understand
the notification date.
To let you know, Pauline Cotter and I had a meeting with Mr. Wagner with regards to the prostitution issue, and that was booked outside of the DPR meeting time so that we could meet. What time?
I know. Yeah, no, but this was supposed to go to 11 o'clock.
But if you are going to adjourn this and bring it back later, we may not be a part of that later if you're looking around.
No, on Friday I can be here most of the day.
Yeah, but we've got a big day on Friday.
It could. It just makes it more and more difficult squeezing up officer time to get things ready to actually achieve the dates that we need to achieve.
Yeah.
We could, if that were suitable, adjourn this till
Well,
Friday.
let's just carry on through until we'll go till 10:30. But I'm not taking any votes unless people are in agreement on issues. I'm not going to have votes because it's not reflective of the. We have got a quorum. But if people are going to insist on having votes, then I'm going to adjourn the meeting because I can't have the decision making essentially controlled. So it has to be a decision of the council. Yes, and I'm happy to continue on the basis of consensus, but I'm not going to take any votes. Is that agreed? Is that agreed? It's not agreed. So I'll adjourn the meeting.
The councillors that are here, well, that's fine, but if there's contentious stuff, but I just don't understand why we wouldn't have votes.
It's irrelevant because if we have consensus, then we can vote it. So let's just go.
So we will carry on, and if we have consensus, then we will tick things off. If we don't have consensus, then I will adjourn the meeting. All right, so thank you.
So the open space chapter starts on 147, page 147. It is all fairly straightforward, although I will ask for the recommendations to be brought up for the rezonings. And these were simply mapping errors that should be corrected through a recommendation. Yes, thank you. I don't know if you'd like to just roll through the pages. That the minister's table comments are all fairly straightforward.
Yep.
So if there is anything that you would like me to explain further or discuss, let me know.
Recommendation 1, 2, 3, recommendation 1, 2, 4, recommendation 1, 2, 5, 1, 2, 6, 1, 2, 7, 1, 2, 8. 1, 2, 9.
Page 151.
Is that right? 130.
Can I just check? I thought we were on chapter 2, definitions.
No. Public open space.
Open space.
147. Okay, what pages? What?
150.
One now?
We're just going through them in order. So,
Right, okay.
we've got, we've done, 145. Where are we? Yeah, we've been doing this all the way through, and it's,
So you're up to recommendation 128 on page 150.
128, 129, 130, 131, and 132. And there's a resolution that you require.
Yes.
Just amending some mapping errors as listed above. They are not anything.
So this doesn't change the substance of anything,
No,
it's just to
mapping errors.
fix some technical errors. I'm happy to move that. Do I have a seconder? Phil Clearwater? I'll put that resolution. All those in favour say aye. Those opposed say no. That's carried. So that's...
Open space.
So I just want to raise
Anita.
the Yildhurst Sports Academy. So clearly...
Sorry, which recommendation?
It's not, it's basically the general 128, provide a policy framework to reflect the role of open spaces and recreational facilities in revitalising and connecting communities in the current period of earthquake recovery, promoting social and cultural wellbeing. So on that basis, I think we should put that in as a zoning.
Sorry?
Sorry,
What
say
are
that
you... Sorry, which recommendation are you referring to?
128.
Recommendation 128.
It's the Minister's recommendation.
So what did the Minister...
To provide a policy framework to reflect the role of open space and recreational facilities in revitalising and connecting communities in the current period of earthquake recovery and promoting social and cultural wellbeing.
Mm-hmm.
And how is that not addressed in the recommendation?
Because we've said that we're going to do that as part of stage 3, and I just can't see why we would leave it to stage 3 given the comment from the Minister.
But within the open space, that's not part of stage 3. Stage 3 is related to, as far as open space chapter is concerned, is related to matters that rely on chapter 9, natural and cultural heritage, rather than anything to do with provision for revitalising and connecting communities. So to if you like, more explicitly provide for it, I have recommended adding to the policies for open space a clearer reference, or perhaps more direct reference to temporary activities, as well as still maintaining the predominance of open space rather than having it all built up, because there is always a danger of that. Temporary activities and facilities are explicitly provided for as the Minister required, and in terms of rules later on, it could be expressed in a way of, say, community gardens, if our green space people agree to that. So that's really the extent of the recommendations from of the Minister, and they've been incorporated into the provisions as shown.
It absolutely meets the requirements of what the Minister's asked for. I can't...
But what we're doing is not putting it in now. We're waiting till it goes to the UDISIC.
No.
And
It's
then goes...
not.
No,
what are you
no,
talking
that's
about?
Cranfield Basin, I'm sorry.
You're on
that's
a completely different
Opera
planet.
Academy.
No, I'm not.
I mean, seriously,
Take
you
your
are.
personal stuff.
This is
I've got the
totally...
email. I'll read it to you.
You read the officer's reasons and the recommended revision of wording. It is totally what the Minister asked for.
I think the point I'm talking about is on Yildhurst Road, there's
I know what you're talking about. It's not this chapter.
Well,
It's not in the open space zone, the Yildhurst Road, and that
That's right.
has been discussed in the at the time when we were approving open space chapter to go to the ministers, which basically leaves it as rural. And then
That's correct.
Yes.
on it.
Because it cannot go through until we get the change through the through the regional policy statement. It's in conflict with the regional policy statement at the moment.
That's right, and that's correct, and we haven't yet received a consent anyway for stage 2. Who knows whether stage 2 will go ahead?
Yeah.
It may not even require a change to the urban limits.
That's right.
In order to allow stage 2 to go ahead. So it's
Yeah.
Cranford Basin that's coming
Yeah,
forward in
Cranford
stage
Basin's
3.
the one.
The Yaldhurst Soccer Academy will continue as rural until such time as it's considered that it actually does need to come inside the MUL. It may not need to be. It's being assessed currently by ECAN to see.
Anyway, look, I'm sorry, Yanni, it is out of order to raise an issue that is not in this chapter. It's not dealt with in this chapter. It's not part of this chapter. The officer's reasons and recommendations align 100% with what the Minister has asked for. So I'm just going to move on because it's got, what you're asking for is not within this chapter. So that's the open space dealt with. We've got special zone hospitals.
Specific purpose hospitals
Yeah.
starts on page 155.
Right, that's recommendation 133, 134. Yanni?
You're saying it's onerous regulation. This is the one that's near Hagley Park, at Gardens?
No, that we're not doing the central city hospitals.
You're not doing anything to do with
The
the
Central City chapter comes
Yeah.
on Friday.
Right, and in terms of the debate that we had over Princess Margaret,
Yeah.
what's happening there?
Okay, so the comments that came back said that the policy that we originally put in for Princess Margaret about doing comprehensive development when they finished using the site as a hospital, they said that wasn't appropriate to have there, and that the hospital zone should only have objectives and policies relating to the functioning and use of the site for hospital activities, not for when the hospital ceases to exist. So they proposed that we just use the same processes we've used with schools and things whereby we have an underlying zone, and that if they're not going to use it as a hospital, they can use it as whatever the underlying zone is. So the underlying zone, so we've gone with that, but one change that we have done is the underlying zone was originally residential suburban. We've now put it down as residential suburban density transition, just to kind of direct the fact that we know the site is capable of a lot more than residential suburban. Yeah. And ideally it would be residential medium density, but we just can't go that far in one jump. So if the developers, when they come in for the site, want to do that, then they can come in for a consent and go that way. And the other thing maybe to signal is that I know from the discussions going on in the residential phase 1, there's a brownfield site policy that they're working through at the moment, and that may well offer them some scope to go through that way and do some kind of comprehensive development. So, but in terms of this chapter, no, we've had to take that policy out and just rely on the underlying zone.
That would create, you think, not controversy, but would cause concern to communities if hospitals were going in their neighbourhoods?
No, it's basically as is at the moment. It's only the sites that are hospitals, and it's the fact that if the hospitals on those existing sites are discontinued, they can go to do residential, and that's what it is at the moment.
Right.
So that's all good? Thank you. Commercial and industrial.
Commercial and industrial starts on page 161.
Yep.
I've got Mark's stuff here, Mark's notes.
There were some issues here, weren't there?
Yes. Just apologies from Mark Stevenson. He's tied up in a pre-hearing conference. I'll cover off these things, and Alan Matheson much more au fait with some of these things than me. Will no doubt step in if I get myself into a bit of strife. But there are a number of recommendations that the Minister put back to us, and they were dealt with as follows. The first one was about resource efficiency provisions. So we basically agree with the Minister there, because these provisions we dealt with as part of stage 1 as well, in the hearings that will start on May the 11th, I think it is. We recommended to take those resource efficiency provisions out, which is very consistent with the approach we've taken in other chapters. So it's not that resource efficiency is not a resource management issue, it certainly is, but there are better ways of under the circumstances, of dealing with it.
That's in relation to the statement of expectations that they're being taken out.
I mean, this is something that councillors feel quite strongly about, because, you know, everywhere we have, you know, dealt with the issues of the rebuild, everyone says, why don't we use this as an opportunity to build back better? Sustainability, district energy schemes, the whole 9 yards, you know. I mean, you know, this building itself is going to be the basis for a district energy scheme. You know, it's a fantastic opportunity to actually get better resource use and actually a more sustainable environment for us and you know, an exemplar status, I think, for the country. But what worries me is that when you take these provisions out, you know, and I understand that you've got you know, the strategic directions, but I think that there's been a kind of a fundamental error in judging where the costs and the benefits lie. So yeah, sure, the developer might face the costs of putting in these energy provisions, energy savings provisions, and the benefits flow to the future user. So there's a disconnect between who benefits. But the point is that the developer's going to recover the cost anyway from either the first buyer, and the benefits will flow on through the term of the life of the building. And this is the thing that I cannot get my head around. Why on earth, you know, the people, the users, the owners of the houses, the owners of the commercial buildings, why on earth aren't they being seen as the beneficiaries of this, instead of this focus on the cost to the developer, instead of the lifetime cost to those who use the facilities? I think it's a real mistake not to address this at the front end and have it as a requirement of the rebuild. I mean, it just doesn't make sense to me.
Yep.
You have decided in stage 2 with respect to residential to keep the similar type rules in again.
Right.
You know,
and look, we know that we have to protect you as staff from the inevitable result of putting up a proposal that doesn't necessarily align with the approach that the hearings panel have already taken. But I would much rather that we put it up and invited the people of Christchurch to actually submit on it, because I think, you know, the independent hearings panel does need to hear what we're hearing, and we do need to encourage, you know, sort of residents and citizens of Christchurch to be submitting on on the kind of city they want to rebuild. This is a chance in a lifetime. We'll never get this chance again.
They've already indicated it through share an idea. We've got to put it into practice.
Yeah.
So we would need a recommendation then to, we would need to indicate under commercial and industrial recommendations 137, recommendation 3 and 8, to retain the resource efficiency rules.
Yep. So, to retain, retain, not change. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll move that, and Yanni seconds that. So I'll just put that motion. All those in favour say aye. Those opposed say no. That's carried. Right.
Yes.
Is there anything else in that chapter?
There are a few things, if you don't mind, if we can go through them.
Yeah, there's recommendation 138, New Brighton commercial area. Again, the Minister is really wanting us to reduce our urban design input into these suburban centres. The recommendation is that no changes are recommended, that we, and in response to the Minister's comments, the Phase 2 provisions propose New Brighton to be subject to the same urban design thresholds as other centres and subject to the suburban master plans. Basically, and they will be considered by the hearings panel anyway in stage 1. So there is an overlap here. We'll find out from the decisions on stage 1 whether they're going to run with New Brighton or not. So we might as well keep them in for New Brighton as we go.
I agree with that. I think it's really important. I mean, we're going to be considering the establishment of a development authority. It's got to have this focus on suburban development as well. And the idea that New Brighton could be a bit of an exemplar for the city in that process, I think, requires us to keep this in. So to me, it's absolutely imperative that we do. But that's your recommendation. And I suppose I should look to the councillor for the area.
I think I went a bit. I had a different view last time, but things have changed, I think, between then and now, and
Yeah, so you want to keep in the provisions around urban design and the master plans? Yeah. All right, yep.
Recommendation 139, this is to do with making firefighting permitted activity, and so that's fine. We agree with the Minister's comments there. Recommendation 40, resource efficiency provision, as per the response to 137. 140. Yeah.
Can I just ask on 139? In your comments, you've got stage 1, CCC officer evidence, and you've got exemptions from street scene and landscaping rules for emergency services facilities. Is that already been done as part of chapter 1 or stage 1?
Yes.
So we can't discuss that now.
Well, that's just, what shall I say, supporting why this resolution is as it is, this recommendation.
Okay, so if you live next to like the Beckenham Police or Sydenham Police Station, which isn't probably the best design thing, but the relationship to the street I would have thought was pretty important.
We're only talking about firefighting here?
Right.
Yes.
So I'm happy with the firefighting staff, but I don't want this to be seen as kind of, if people are having emergency services next to their houses, and I think at St John's they have a number in residential areas, that we wouldn't have some sort of expectation of, landscaping or street or amenity from the street.
Yes, so
sort of minimum standards, so that people that live next to it don't have to deal with the intended consequences.
Well, I mean, I'm just trying to think of the emergency services I'm aware of, and the fire stations, for example, and I'm thinking of the one in Spraydon. That's built right up the street. It's not practical to have landscaping really there. I mean, the fire engines come out. I mean, they've got to have easy access and egress out of the place. So you're not going to get too much of a street scene enhancement. It's probably more the side boundaries with the neighbours, which are more important.
And those are covered in the existing?
Well, I've got nothing in here to say they're not.
So I would have thought, for example, you might have some screening at the back. If you take the old Oxford Terrace, having barbed wire fences facing into a residential neighbourhood, not particularly attractive.
No.
No reason you couldn't have trees at the back to screen it?
No, well, I'm basically looking at there's only exemptions from the street scene and landscaping rules.
Yeah.
So as far as the frontage goes, that's my understanding of this. Yeah, that's my understanding.
Yeah.
Yep, carry on.
Okay, so 141, remove the industrial park zone Memorial Avenue. 140? The resource efficiency, that's the same as 137. So that recommendation as per 137.
Yep.
Sorry, we need to go back then and change this recommendation, because you agreed to keeping in the energy efficiency rules on page 161. We need to go back and recommendation to retain them here. to be
Oh,
consistent.
sorry.
Be consistent.
So recommendation 140, 3 and 8.
So can you just add them to,
Yes, you could.
just put in,
So just add the numbers 140, and you've got 3 and 8 there.
3 and 8?
Yeah.
Is it still, is it 3 and 8?
Yes. So it
3
would
and
be-
8 or 2 and 8?
It says 3, recommendation 3 on page 164.
Yeah, but
The
was
other
it-
one was 2.
Yeah, so,
Oh no, I beg your pardon. No, it is. It's just 3 and 8. It shouldn't
Okay.
be at 2.
it should be a 2?
No.
No,
2.
okay, it should never have been a 2.
No.
Right,
That's right.
so it's 130 and 140, 3 and 8.
Yep.
Yep.
And it should be energy and efficiency rules.
Energy and efficiency
Yeah.
rules. Are they?
Resource efficiency, yep. That's good.
Oh, I see.
141.
Yeah, 141. 141, this concerns the mail site in the corner of Memorial Avenue and Russley Road. The Minister has basically submitted that we should remove our proposed industrial park zone and rely on a plan change that was submitted. Officers don't agree with that approach for a number of reasons, but basically because by putting our own zone in, it gives us more scope. Otherwise, we're limited to lodging submissions on that particular plan change. And
But we have made
we have made submissions, yes.
submissions.
Yes, but we believe that the plan change, the zone that we've put in is perhaps a better outcome than the plan change. I guess that's the.
But if the hearings panel just say we've got the plan change, why would we put in a zone?
Well, simply because the plan change that was lodged it has different provisions from perhaps what the council would agree to, and it doesn't make any difference. Well, the only difference is that what the Minister's saying is that submitters have to submit both on the plan change on our proposal.
That's right.
But that's not unusual in planning terms. I mean, what will happen is that presumably the independent hearings panel will hear the two together, and if people have got to make submissions twice, well, it's not unusual for that to happen.
That is the
process.
intention for the hearings panel to hear this zone and the plan change together. Should we continue with this recommendation?
But are they just going to give us a whack for putting in a plan change? I mean, putting in our own zone change while the plan change is in there?
Well, I don't see why they should, Ed, because the council has its entitlement under the process to to do a review of the whole district plan.
But the Minister has asked us to take it out, so I just kind of want to know that we're not going to get a slap down for putting in our own process, which is over and above that which has been proposed through the plan change.